Story 1. Brahmadatta and the Banyan Deer. Buddhist short story. Summary. Brahmadatta and the Banyan Deer is a captivating Buddhist short story that unfolds in the ancient city of Benares. This tale revolves around the virtuous King Brahmadatta and a remarkable encounter with a community of deer, primarily focusing on the extraordinary bond between the king and a pregnant deer, which serves as a powerful allegory for compassion, sacrifice, and the interconnectedness of all life forms. The story commences in the city of Benares, where King Brahmadatta rules with wisdom and fairness. The king's virtues extend beyond human subjects, encompassing the welfare of animals in his kingdom as well. This notion becomes evident when a golden stag, known as the Banyan Deer King, seeks refuge in the outskirts of the city, leading a herd of deer. The stag, revered for his noble qualities, chooses to stay near a grand banyan tree. The narrative takes an emotional turn when a pregnant deer, carrying an unborn fawn, joins the herd. This particular deer captures the king's attention and empathy due to her delicate condition. The king's compassion knows no bounds as he ensures that the pregnant deer and her companions are safe from harm. He proclaims that harming any of these deer will be met with severe punishment. However, the harmony is soon disrupted when a desperate farmer's need for food drives him to hunt the deer. Overcome by hunger, the farmer ignores the king's decree and attempts to capture one of the deer from the herd. He succeeds in capturing the pregnant deer and is ready to kill her for sustenance. In a dramatic twist, the Banyan Deer King steps forward and offers himself as a sacrifice to save the pregnant deer's life. He pleads with the farmer to spare the pregnant deer, explaining that his own life would provide ample sustenance. This profound act of self-sacrifice and compassion astounds everyone present, emphasizing the noble nature of the Banyan Deer King and the power of empathy. Touched by the Banyan Deer King's sacrifice, the farmer is deeply moved and changes his ways. The king himself witnesses this act of sacrifice and compassion, reinforcing his belief in the interconnectedness of all beings. He commends the Banyan Deer King's selflessness and orders the release of the pregnant deer. The farmer, having realized the significance of life and compassion, abandons his violent ways and seeks a more ethical livelihood. The story of Brahmadatta and the Banyan Deer beautifully illustrates the Buddhist teachings of compassion, selflessness, and the intricate connection between all living beings. King Brahmadatta's embodiment of compassion extends beyond human boundaries, encompassing the animal kingdom as well. The Banyan Deer King's ultimate sacrifice underscores the profound message that compassion and empathy should guide our actions and decisions, even in the face of adversity. This short story serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of treating all life forms with kindness and respect. It illustrates how individual actions, driven by compassion, have the potential to transform lives and inspire positive change. Brahmadatta and the Banyan Deer resonates as a profound allegory, encouraging readers to reflect on their interactions with the natural world and their fellow beings, fostering a sense of interconnectedness and harmony. A. Multiple choice questions. 1. Most of the Jataka stories are set around City. A. Sarnath. B. Kushinagar. C. Bodh Gaya. D. Benares. 2. Brahmadatta was the king of A. Pataliputra. B. Kashi. C. Lumbini. D. Kapilvastu. 3. The pregnant deer was worried about. E. The Banyan Deer. F. Brahmadatta King. C. Its unborn fawn. D. Its mother. 4. At last, King Brahmadatta A. Freed all the deer. B. Killed all the deer. C. Made more palisades. D. Imprisoned Banyan Deer. 5. Eventually, Brahmadatta felt, for all creatures, A. Hatred. B. Anger. C. Compassion. D. Envy. Extra MCQs. 1. What sets the Banyan Deer King apart from other animals in the forest? A. His ordinary physical attributes. B. His lack of leadership qualities. C. His extraordinary qualities and abilities. D. His indifference towards the forest's inhabitants. 2. What supernatural powers are associated with the Banyan deer king's antlers? A. They are used for display and decoration. B. They enable him to communicate with other animals. C. They allow him to control the weather. D. They help him protect the forest and its inhabitants from threats. 3. How do the other deer in the forest view the Banyan deer king? A. They are jealous of his physical attributes. B. They consider him an ordinary deer. C. They respect and revere him for his wisdom and leadership. D. They are afraid of his immense strength and power. 4. In traditional Hindu mythology, how is Brahmadatta typically depicted? A. As a religious sage. B. As a commoner. C. As a king. D. As a merchant. 5. What was the purpose of hunting for kings and nobility in ancient civilizations? A. To gather food for their kingdom. B. To bond with their subjects. C. To demonstrate their strength and bravery. D. To learn about the natural world. 6. How might the hunting of animals by Brahmadatta be used in some stories? A. To showcase his cooking skills. B. To symbolize his fear of animals. C. To illustrate moral lessons or advance the plot. D. To show his preference for vegetarianism. 7. What were the consequences of Brahmadatta's hunting activities on the villagers? A. Economic prosperity. B. Fear and insecurity. C. Enhanced access to resources. D. Increased cooperation. 8. How might Brahmadatta's hunting have impacted the villagers' livelihoods? A. It led to reduced agricultural production. B. It promoted the growth of crops. C. It protected livestock from predators. D. It improved access to medicinal plants. 9. What contributed to Brahmadatta's prowess as a hunter? A. Limited wildlife in his kingdom. B. Lack of skilled hunters and guides. C. Inefficient hunting weapons. D. Diverse animal species and skilled hunters. 10. How did Brahmadatta's kingdom help him in his hunting pursuits? A. It had restricted access to forests. B. It lacked skilled hunting guides. C. It had vast territories and diverse landscapes. D. It had limited resources for hunting. 11. What was the main threat to the deer herds in the forest? A. Disease. B. Deforestation. C. Human hunters. D. Natural disasters. 12. How did the two deer kings plan to protect their fellow animals from hunters? A. By attacking the hunters. B. By seeking refuge in neighboring forests. C. By setting up a system of vigilance and cooperation. D. By negotiating with the hunters. 13. What was the purpose of the protective network among the deer herds? A. To find better sources of food. B. To establish dominance over other animals. C. To outsmart the hunters and avoid traps. D. To migrate to different regions. 14. What did the Banyan deer king's legendary antlers possess? A. Extraordinary size. B. Supernatural powers. C. High-speed running ability. D. Ability to camouflage. 15. Why did the pregnant doe visit the Banyan deer king? A. To challenge his leadership. B. To seek protection and guidance. C. To join his hunting expedition. D. To compete for his attention. 16. Why did the animals in the forest seek counsel from the Banyan deer king? A. Because of his impressive size. B. Because of his legendary antlers. C. Because of his compassionate and fair leadership. D. Because of his hunting skills. 17. Why did the cook hesitate to harm the Banyan deer king? A. He didn't have a clear shot. B. He felt sympathy for the deer. C. He was overcome with awe and fear. D. He was unsure of his hunting skills. 18. What consequence was believed to come from harming the Banyan deer king? A. Divine retribution. B. Public humiliation. C. Banishment from the forest. D. Monetary fines. 19. What emotions did the Banyan deer king's presence evoke in the cook? A. Envy and anger. B. Fear and admiration. C. Excitement and curiosity. D. Apathy and indifference. 20. How did the Banyan deer king reveal his true identity to Brahmadatta? A. By speaking to him in a dream. B. Through a telepathic message. C. By transforming into a human. D. Through words before being shot. 21. What lesson did the Banyan deer king teach Brahmadatta? A. The importance of trophy hunting. B. The significance of preserving the forest. C. The best hunting techniques. D. The superiority of humans over animals. 22. How did Brahmadatta react after the encounter with the Banyan deer king? A. He decided to continue hunting for sport. B. He gave up hunting and embraced harmony with nature. C. He challenged the deer king to a duel. D. He started hunting only smaller animals. 23. What did the Banyan deer king's encounter with Brahmadatta mark for the forest? A. The end of all hunting activities. B. A new era of peaceful coexistence. C. An increase in forest fires. D. The rise of a new hunting champion. 24. What impact did the Banyan deer king's wisdom have on Brahmadatta? A. It turned him into a ruthless hunter. B. It inspired him to become a vegetarian. C. It led him to understand the interconnectedness of nature. D. It convinced him to challenge the deer king's authority. 25. 25. What did the Banyan deer king emphasize as the key to maintaining harmony in the forest? A. Dominance of one species over others. B. Isolating the animals from human influence. C. Respecting the delicate balance of nature. D. Implementing stricter hunting regulations. B. Short questions. 1. How does the story describe the uniqueness of the Banyan deer king? In the story of the Banyan deer king, the uniqueness of the character is vividly portrayed through various distinctive traits and abilities. The Banyan deer king is not an ordinary deer. Instead, he possesses extraordinary qualities that set him apart from his peers and make him a legendary figure. His extraordinary physical attributes make him stand out from the rest of the animals. The Banyan deer king's antlers are no ordinary antlers. They are described as magnificent and formidable. They are not just for display but are imbued with supernatural powers that enable him to protect the forest and its inhabitants from threats. Beyond his physical prowess, the Banyan deer king possesses great wisdom and leadership qualities. He is respected and revered by all the other deer in the forest, and they look up to him for guidance and protection. His ability to make wise decisions and lead the herd sets him apart as a unique and exceptional leader. Despite his immense strength and power, the Banyan deer king is depicted as a gentle and kind-hearted creature. He cares deeply for the well-being of the forest and its inhabitants and takes it upon himself to ensure their safety and happiness. The Banyan deer king is intimately connected to nature and the forest. He possesses a profound understanding of the ecosystem and the delicate balance of life within it. The Banyan deer king stands out with his colossal size, mighty antlers, and immense strength, making him a legendary figure in the forest. Beyond his physical prowess, he possesses wisdom and kindness, leading the deer herd with grace. His profound connection to nature and the ecosystem sets him apart as an integral part of the forest. Surrounded by an air of mystique, he is revered by all, embodying a perfect blend of power and compassion. The Banyan deer king's uniqueness lies not only in his physical attributes but also in his legendary status, making him an awe-inspiring and unforgettable character in the story. 2. Why did Brahmadatta hunt animals? In traditional Hindu mythology and some ancient Indian folktales, the character of Brahmadatta is often portrayed as a king. In these stories, Brahmadatta's hunting of animals is typically portrayed as a form of sport or a pastime pursued by kings and royalty in ancient times. Hunting was a common activity among kings and nobility in ancient civilizations. It was seen as a display of skill, bravery, and power, and it served as a means of entertainment for rulers. The act of hunting allowed the king to showcase his prowess as a warrior and demonstrate his control over the natural world. In some stories, the hunting of animals by Brahmadatta may also be used to illustrate certain moral lessons or serve as a narrative device to set the stage for the rest of the story. For example, the consequences of hunting or encounters with specific animals might drive the plot and lead to important life lessons for the characters involved. It's important to note that these stories are often symbolic or allegorical in nature, reflecting cultural values, beliefs, and the relationship between humans and nature in ancient societies. The portrayal of Brahmadatta's hunting of animals in these stories is a reflection of the cultural context and storytelling conventions prevalent during the times when these tales were created and passed down through generations. 3. How were the villagers affected by Brahmadatta's obsession with hunting? Brahmadatta's obsession with hunting had significant effects on the villagers in the vicinity of his kingdom. The consequences of his hunting activities impacted both the people and the environment, leading to various challenges and hardships for the villagers. The villagers lived in constant fear and insecurity due to Brahmadatta's hunting expeditions. The king's pursuit of animals often led to the destruction of crops and property, and there was a constant risk of villagers encountering dangerous animals that were disturbed by the hunting activities. The hunting expeditions frequently disrupted the livelihoods of the villagers. Animals that were hunted or scared away by the king's men would sometimes attack and kill livestock, leading to economic losses for the villagers who heavily relied on agriculture and animal husbandry. Brahmadatta's hunting grounds might have encompassed areas that were traditionally used by the villagers for gathering resources like firewood, fruits, and medicinal plants. The villagers' access to these resources may have been restricted or hindered by the king's hunting activities. The king's preoccupation with hunting could have diverted resources and attention away from other critical matters, such as governance, infrastructure development, and welfare programs for the villagers. This could have had negative implications for the overall well-being of the community. Brahmadatta's relentless hunting could have disturbed the natural balance of the ecosystem. Overhunting certain animal species might have caused ecological imbalances, leading to an increase in certain pests or a decline in other wildlife, which could indirectly affect the villagers' livelihoods. The villagers' dissatisfaction with the king's obsession with hunting might have eventually led to resentment and rebellion. If the king's actions were perceived as oppressive or neglectful of his duties as a ruler, it could have incited unrest among the villagers. It is essential to remember that these effects on the villagers are fictional and derived from various traditional folktales and myths involving Brahmadatta. These stories often use the character of the king and his hunting expeditions as a narrative device to convey moral lessons, or explore the consequences of certain behaviors. As with many folk tales, the focus is on storytelling and conveying cultural values rather than depicting historical events or individuals. For, how was Brahmadatta's hunting game made easier? In the legendary tales of Brahmadatta, the hunting game of the king was made easier by a combination of factors and resources at his disposal. These elements contributed to his prowess as a hunter and allowed him to pursue his obsession with greater ease. Brahmadatta's kingdom was blessed with diverse and plentiful wildlife. The forests surrounding his realm teemed with various animal species, providing an ample hunting ground for the king. The king had a team of skilled hunters and experienced guides at his service. These individuals possessed deep knowledge of the forests, animal behaviors, and hunting techniques, making his hunting expeditions more efficient and successful. Brahmadatta's hunting arsenal was equipped with powerful and sophisticated weapons, such as bows and arrows, spears, and even trained hunting animals like hounds. These tools enhanced his ability to capture and subdue wild animals. The king's kingdom comprised vast territories, which he designated as hunting grounds. His dominion allowed him access to diverse landscapes, from dense forests to open plains, making it easier to track and pursue a wide variety of game. As a wealthy and powerful king, Brahmadatta had access to abundant resources. he could dedicate substantial time and effort to his hunting pursuits without being encumbered by economic constraints. Brahmadatta's status as a ruler granted him the luxury of dedicating significant time to hunting. He had the freedom to indulge in his passion without being bound by mundane responsibilities that common people might face. It is essential to recognize that these stories are mythical, and meant to entertain and convey cultural values rather than depict historical accuracy. The portrayal of Brahmadatta's hunting expeditions, and the ease with which he pursued them serve as storytelling devices that emphasize his kingly attributes and the vastness of his kingdom. 5. What proposal was passed by the meeting of two deer kings? In the story of the two deer kings, a proposal was passed during their meeting to protect the animals in their forest from the hunters. The Banyan deer king and the deer king of the neighboring forest realized that their respective herds were facing great danger due to the relentless hunting activities of the human hunters in the region. To address this threat, the two deer kings decided to work together in unity and solidarity. They formed a pact and created a plan to safeguard their fellow deer and other animals in the forest. The proposal entailed setting up a system of vigilance and cooperation among the deer herds to warn each other whenever they sensed the presence of hunters. By sharing information and collaborating across the forest boundaries, the deer kings aimed to create a protective network that would enable them to outsmart the hunters and avoid their deadly traps. This joint effort would also ensure that the animals could move to safer areas whenever they sensed danger, reducing the risk of being caught and hunted. The proposal to form a unified front against the hunters showcased the strength of interdependence among the animals. It underscored the importance of collective action, and demonstrated that working together could lead to a more secure and harmonious environment for all the creatures in the forest. This decision also exemplified the Banyan deer king's wise and compassionate leadership, as he inspired cooperation among different deer herds and fostered a sense of community and protection within the forest. 6. Why did a pregnant doe pay a visit to the Banyan deer king? In the story of the Banyan deer king, the pregnant doe paid a visit to seek the protection and guidance of the wise and mighty king. The pregnant doe was facing a perilous situation as she knew that she would soon give birth to her fawn, and the forest was fraught with dangers, especially from human hunters. Aware of the Banyan deer king's reputation for wisdom and strength, the pregnant doe saw him as the best hope for ensuring the safety of her unborn fawn and herself. She believed that the king's legendary antlers, which were described as formidable and imbued with supernatural powers, could offer them protection from potential threats. Moreover, the Banyan deer king had earned the respect and reverence of all the animals in the forest due to his compassionate and fair leadership. Animals from far and wide sought his counsel, knowing that he would provide wise guidance and solutions to their problems. By visiting the Banyan deer king, the pregnant doe sought to become a part of the protective network that the king was organizing to safeguard all the animals in the forest from the hunters. She recognized that the king's plan of cooperation and vigilance would offer the best chance of survival for her and her fawn in the face of the dangers that lurked outside. The pregnant doe's visit demonstrated the deep trust and belief that the animals had in the Banyan deer king's abilities. It also highlighted the essence of interdependence among the creatures of the forest, as they recognized the importance of working together and seeking support from their wise and powerful leader during challenging times. 7. Why did the cook hesitate to shoot the Banyan deer? In the story of the Banyan deer king, the cook hesitated to shoot the deer because he was overcome with a sense of awe and fear at the sight of the majestic and extraordinary creature before him. The Banyan deer king was no ordinary deer. He was described as a colossal and imposing figure with magnificent antlers, imbued with supernatural powers. As the cook raised his bow and aimed at the Banyan deer king, he likely realized that he was facing a creature of immense strength and presence. The king's aura and size could have instilled a deep sense of respect and reverence in the cook, making him hesitant to harm such a magnificent being. Moreover, the cook might have heard tales and legends about the Banyan deer king's legendary status and the consequences of harming him. In some versions of the story, it is believed that harming the Banyan deer king could bring about misfortune or invoke divine retribution. The cook's hesitation also reveals the internal conflict he might have experienced. On one hand, his role as a cook likely required him to provide food for the royal household, and the deer would have been a valuable catch. On the other hand, he could not ignore the extraordinary nature of the Banyan deer king, and his conscience might have discouraged him from harming such a majestic and unique creature. In folklore and mythology, encounters with legendary or mythical beings often evoke a mixture of emotions, ranging from fear to awe and admiration. The cook's hesitation to shoot the Banyan deer king exemplifies the powerful impact that legendary creatures can have on human emotions and actions. 8. Did the king realize his mistake? Explain. The Banyan deer king encounters a human hunter named Brahmadatta, who is hunting in the forest. Brahmadatta, unaware of the deer king's legendary status, decides to shoot the magnificent deer for his trophy collection. As the hunter aims his arrow at the Banyan deer king, the king reveals his true identity and speaks to Brahmadatta, warning him of the consequences of harming such a unique and powerful creature. The Banyan deer king imparts valuable lessons to Brahmadatta, emphasizing the importance of protecting the forest and all its inhabitants, including the animals and trees. He educates the hunter about the delicate balance of nature and the interconnectedness of all living beings. The king helps Brahmadatta realize that every creature in the forest plays a vital role in maintaining harmony, and that hunting for mere sport disrupts this balance. Upon this realization, Brahmadatta is deeply moved and humbled by the wisdom of the Banyan deer king. He decides to change his ways and gives up hunting altogether, choosing to live in harmony with nature instead. The king's encounter with Brahmadatta becomes a turning point, not only for the hunter but also for the entire forest, as it marks the beginning of a new era where animals and humans coexist peacefully. The Banyan deer king's actions lead to the hunter realizing his mistake, transforming him into a more enlightened and compassionate individual. The king's wisdom and benevolence play a crucial role in guiding Brahmadatta towards understanding the importance of preserving the forest and respecting all forms of life. C. Long questions. 1. How does the story indicate that human kings often lead a luxurious life? In the story of Brahmadatta and the Banyan deer, it is indicated that human kings often lead a luxurious life through the portrayal of King Brahmadatta's opulent lifestyle, an extravagant palace. The story introduces King Brahmadatta as a powerful ruler who lived in a grand palace adorned with precious gems and jewels. The palace is described as having multiple stories with magnificent arches and intricate carvings. Inside, it is furnished with the finest fabrics, gold, and silver, showcasing the king's wealth and taste for luxury. Additionally, the king's daily activities reflect a life of luxury and abundance. He is shown indulging in lavish feasts and sumptuous meals, served on silver and gold plates with a wide variety of delectable dishes. The king's courtiers and ministers, adorned in rich garments, attend to his every whim and desire, further accentuating the extravagance of his life. Furthermore, the tale mentions that King Brahmadatta had a vast army at his disposal, which included skilled archers and soldiers mounted on elephants and horses. This military might and display of power reinforce the king's status and luxurious lifestyle. The contrast between King Brahmadatta's luxurious life and the simple life of the Banyan deer emphasizes the stark divide between royalty and common folk. The Banyan deer, living in the forest, symbolizes a life closer to nature and devoid of the material wealth and comforts enjoyed by the king. In traditional folktales and fables, the depiction of human kings leading luxurious lives is common. Such portrayals often serve to showcase the wealth and opulence of rulers while highlighting the contrast between the lives of the powerful and the ordinary citizens. They may also carry moral lessons about the responsibilities and consequences of holding such high positions of authority and privilege. 2. Compare and contrast two deer kings. In the stories of the Brahmadatta and the Banyan deer and the golden stag are compared and contrasted as follows. Banyan deer. The Banyan deer are a species of legendary and mystical creatures, depicted as large and majestic deer with extraordinary physical attributes. They possess supernatural powers and wisdom, and they are revered as the protectors of the forest and its inhabitants. Golden stag. The golden stag is a unique and mythical creature with stunning golden antlers. He is described as a rare and awe-inspiring sight in the forest, capturing the imagination of those who encounter him. The golden stag is not a species like the Banyan deer but rather an individual creature with legendary status. Banyan deer. the Banyan deer are natural leaders of the forest, exhibiting wisdom, bravery, and compassion in guiding the animals and maintaining harmony in their environment. They hold a position of power and are respected by all the animals as the guardians of the forest. Golden stag, the golden stag is not depicted as a ruler or leader. However, his appearance in the forest is symbolic, representing the importance of protecting and preserving rare and endangered species in the ecosystem. Banyan deer, the banyan deer play a central role in the stories as the guardians and protectors of the forest and its inhabitants. They serve as mentors and wise figures, imparting valuable lessons to humans and animals alike. Golden stag, the golden stag's purpose in the story is more symbolic. His presence underscores the significance of preserving rare and unique species in nature and emphasizes the need for their protection. Banyan deer, the banyan deer have encounters with human hunters in the stories, with their interactions leading to transformative experiences for the hunters. These encounters serve as pivotal moments in the tales, guiding the human characters towards greater understanding and compassion for nature. Golden stag, the golden stag's appearance leads to a profound experience for King Brahmadatta in the story, Brahmadatta and the Golden Stag. The encounter with the golden stag helps the king realize the consequences of his hunting actions, and changes his perspective towards hunting and nature. Banyan deer, the stories of the banyan deer teach important moral lessons about compassion, coexistence with nature, and the value of protecting the environment and its inhabitants. Golden stag, the presence of the golden stag underscores the theme of preserving rare and unique species in nature and respecting all living beings, highlighting the importance of conservation efforts. In summary, the banyan deer and the golden stag are mythical and legendary creatures in their respective stories, each symbolizing wisdom, compassion, and the significance of protecting the natural world. While the banyan deer are depicted as a species of powerful and revered forest guardians, the golden stag serves as a unique and symbolic figure, representing the importance of preserving rare and endangered species in the ecosystem. Both these mythical beings play significant roles in teaching moral lessons, and guiding human characters towards a deeper appreciation for nature and its inhabitants. 3. What were the kingly qualities in the banyan deer king? The banyan deer king exhibited several kingly qualities that set him apart as a wise and benevolent leader in the story. These qualities contributed to his legendary status and earned him the respect and admiration of all the animals in the forest. The banyan deer king was portrayed as a creature of great wisdom. He possessed deep insights into the workings of the forest ecosystem, the behaviors of various animals, and the delicate balance of nature. His wisdom guided him in making prudent decisions that protected the well-being of the entire forest community. Despite his immense size and power, the banyan deer king showed great compassion towards all the animals in the forest. He cared deeply for their safety and well-being, often placing their needs above his own. His compassionate nature made him a trusted and revered leader among the creatures. The banyan deer king's leadership was characterized by fairness and inclusivity. He was the king not just of a specific herd but of all the animals in the forest, regardless of their species. He fostered unity among the diverse animal communities and encouraged cooperation for the greater good of the forest. As the protector of the forest, the banyan deer king demonstrated unwavering bravery and a willingness to confront threats head-on. He risked his life to shield the animals from hunters and other dangers, serving as a shield for his fellow creatures. The banyan deer king was skilled in diplomacy and communication. He could bridge the gap between different animal groups, mediating conflicts and promoting harmony. His ability to communicate effectively with various species showcased his diplomatic prowess. The banyan deer king was fair and just in his decisions, ensuring that all animals in the forest were treated with equality and respect. He sought to resolve disputes and conflicts in a manner that upheld the principles of justice. The banyan deer king took his role as the guardian of the forest seriously. He recognized his responsibility to protect and preserve the delicate balance of nature, and to ensure the safety and well-being of all the animals under his care. In summary, the banyan deer king possessed kingly qualities of wisdom, compassion, strong leadership, protection, diplomacy, and a sense of justice and responsibility. These qualities made him a legendary and revered figure in the forest, and his leadership was characterized by a deep understanding of the natural world and a genuine concern for the welfare of all living beings. 4. Do you think King Brahmadatta finally followed the Buddhist paths? Why or why not? The story is often interpreted as a moral tale that emphasizes themes of compassion, coexistence with nature, and the consequences of one's actions. In some versions of the story, after encountering the Banyan deer king or the golden stag, King Brahmadatta undergoes a transformation in his perspective towards nature and animals. He develops a sense of compassion and reverence for all living beings, indicating a shift in his beliefs and behavior towards more benevolent and ethical practices. While these themes align with some Buddhist principles, such as non-violence and compassion, the story itself is not explicitly connected to Buddhism in its original form. The interpretation of King Brahmadatta following the Buddhist paths is a matter of interpretation, and it may be influenced by cultural and religious contexts in which the story is presented or adapted. It's important to remember that the story of Brahmadatta and the Banyan deer is a traditional folktale or fable, and its moral lessons are meant to transcend specific religious affiliations. Its primary purpose is to impart ethical values and a deeper appreciation for nature and its inhabitants, rather than to represent adherence to a particular religious doctrine. The Banyan deer king's actions lead to the hunter realizing his mistake, transforming him into a more enlightened and compassionate individual. The king's wisdom and benevolence play a crucial role in guiding Brahmadatta towards understanding the importance of preserving the forest, and respecting all forms of life. In this basis, we can assume that the Brahmadatta would have followed the Buddhism. Best of luck.